All right, we are here once again with head football coach Russell Gaskamp. Week 8 coming up. They'll head to AIC. First, let's talk a little bit about the Saint Anselm game this weekend. We'll start with the negatives and work our way into some positives. Negatives, the first couple drives, not real good.
Yeah, obviously, we weren't able to play Drew this last week, and I got to commend Lowe. I mean, he has done everything we've asked him to do this year, and so we asked him to step up and play quarterback for us this week. We thought we'd be able to get a little bit more of the running game going, maybe some of the option game going with him, and quite honestly, we didn't play very well in the first quarter in the offensive line. I thought from first quarter on, I thought the offensive line played a lot better. I thought it was the best we've protected this year in a game. But we just didn't have enough, stuff in place offensively to have a real successful day. And then, defensively, I thought it was one of our better games, which I know sounds crazy when you see the overall score. But we gave up less than 300 yards for the game. We created 3 turnovers. We really had an opportunity for a couple of more that hit us in the hands. And sure enough, the ones we didn't catch came back and ended up in scores for them. We had 3 penalties on the defensive side of the ball that kind of kept drives alive that were, in my opinion, foolish, selfish penalties, and our kids got to learn from those mistakes. It was one of those things is you watch the film and it doesn't feel like that type of loss. Anytime you give up 2 block punts, which we did in the game, and I'm the head coach, that's my responsibility. I run that team myself. And I thought we were going in with a sound scheme, but obviously we didn't do it the way it needed to happen. And so, I think we played better than what the score looked like overall, especially, without Drew in the game. End result's end result, and we got to move on from there. So.
A couple follow-ups for you there. It's not the first time we've discussed selfish penalties.
Yeah.
So what do you do when that becomes a repeated issue here now, a few weeks into the year?
Well, I think, number one, you have to use it as learning. You have to use education. And things happen in the heat of the moment where, the kid's not trying to do something that's going to hurt the team, but they have to understand that, this is not, it's not about how macho you can be sometimes, We hit the quarterback one of those really, really late, and it ended up turning into a score. We had just a foolish one on the sideline, where everyone goes out of bounds, and then we're going to shove the kid while he's down, You can say lack of discipline. I think some of it's just guys making a mistake and learning from it, and then you address it, and you deal with it, and they have to understand there's repercussions when that happens. And then you just hope that it doesn't happen again. So,
on the punt protection, what adjustments do you make there to make sure that doesn't happen again? Because 2 blocks, the first 2 blocked of the year, I believe.
Yeah. We really haven't had that issue. They had a good returner. We were trying to get more guys out into the coverage, and it was just one of those deals that, from a personnel standpoint, I asked somebody to make a block they couldn't make. And that's my fault as coach. You got to put guys in position to be successful. I didn't do that, and so we have to go back and improve. And sometimes you're putting a little bit too much on the guys, and you just got to go have them play football and do sound stuff. And so again, you learn from it. You show what happened. So what you're doing wrong, and use all. The one thing that I keep going back to with our guys, and they've been great in this regard so far, is that every one of these mistakes we're making is a learning opportunity and something we're getting out of the way for us not to make those mistakes in the future. So.
Right. On the other side, some positives. Darius Daniels, 3 interceptions, including a long return for a touchdown. Pretty good day for him.
Well, when we recruited Ty, we knew Ty is a special type of player, and I really think that once he gets a season of off-season in him, we can get him to be a little bit bigger. He's a really athletic guy. We originally recruited him as a wide receiver, but we knew how good of a defensive back he was from high school. We've asked him to step into that role, and I think he's a guy that's going to be a future all-conference guy at corner. He continues to get physical, starts to learn a little bit more technique. Some of it he just does with such natural, God-given ability that I think sometimes he kind of slides away from things that you have to really do to be a premier type of corner. But again, that's learning curve for him too. And Ty is an outstanding special teams player too. He's a guy that's going to be a great returner for us. He made some plays in a return game on Saturday, and we can really use him in a lot of different ways.
We talked last week about how you wanted to make Saint Anselm a one-dimensional team, held them to 65 rushing yards. So scoreline aside, were you happy with how one-dimensional?
Yeah, like I said, we especially in the first quarter, we put our defense in some tough positions. Obviously, the 2 block punts, immediately are basically turning into scores on that, but there's a couple times, like even with maybe a shorter field, you'd like to see your defense step up and not give up the touchdown. Make them take a field goal instead. But as a staff, I think we felt like that was one of our better defensive performances of the year. We're starting to understand that you got to stop the run if you want to be successful, and we did that. And then I think we did some good stuff on the back end that showed some different looks and confused them a little bit. And like I said, had some opportunities. We had the 3 interceptions, probably could have had 5 in the game, and. Those guys are continuing to improve, and we're trying to evaluate personnel every day on that side of the ball and get the best guys out there to go play. So,
all right, let's flip the calendar ahead to AIC. What do we know about the Yellow Jackets?
Well, it starts when you look at their offense. They have a couple of dynamic playmakers. Number 2 for them is a guy that is dangerous, as dangerous as anybody I've seen in the league so far. They can play him at running back. They play him at receiver. I saw you see him do some good stuff at running back, but he's probably even more dangerous when he's at receiver. So he's got to be a marked guy this week to know where he's at on the field and go from there. Defensively, they are a group that runs a lot of different stuff, a lot of man coverage. They have a good secondary, so they're going to get up and challenge you, and to have to make some plays against some man coverage. And they got a lot of length on that side of the ball, so we're going to have to be sound in our protection. I thought our protection this week was by far our best week of protection. I don't know if we gave up a pressure in the game, to be honest with you, but they do a lot of stuff, so we're going to have to be sound in protecting the quarterback, and hopefully, we'll get Drew back this week, healthy and be able to be a little bit more two-dimensional. So. All
right, for AIC, it's homecoming, which may lead to a bigger crowd than usual on the road. Is there anything you address as a coaching staff going into what may be a more hostile environment than usual?
Well, I mean, at least me personally as a player and as a coach, you want to see that. You want to go into those type of atmospheres. It's what makes college football fun. But, I've really we've tried to focus so much just on our own guys and getting them, to the game prepared and ready to go. I don't know if, they haven't played in that type of game yet to where that hostile environment really means a whole lot because we haven't played real great on the first 2 road trips. That will come as we get, going in this conference and we go into the future and being able to compete for a conference championship a couple of years from now. And those road trips will become more important. You got to get them to understand they really are business trips. You got to be locked in from the time you get on the bus that morning to you finish the game in all 60 minutes. And so that will come with just experience and knowledge. So. All
right. Speaking of business trips, what's the number 1 order of business on the road this weekend?
Well, obviously, stopping 2 is a big thing. He is a dynamic player, and they have some receivers that are some of the bigger receivers that we've seen in the league. So we're going to have to cover people this week and hit the quarterback. Get the ball out of his hands quickly rather than letting him sit back there and tap his hands around the ball and then be able to get a matchup that works for them. They've got some dangerous-looking guys on the offensive side of the ball, and then on our side, on the offensive side of the ball, we've got to figure out a way to get more efficient in the run game. We started to do that more the second, third, and fourth quarters the other day, but we've got to get more efficient in the run game, and then there's going to have to be times this week we're just going to have to make some plays versus man coverage if we want to have a chance in the game. So.
All right, he's head coach Russell Gaskamp. The Ravens are at AIC on Saturday. If you're in Springfield, it's a noon start. We'll see you out there. Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate your time.